You're squawking dead. We're taking over for Chris Hardwick tonight. What a bombshell of an episode today. All the things that we talked about a few days ago, I feel like I want to throw in the toilet right now. So, what are you going to do? If you haven't noticed, and if you are watching live, thank you, first. And secondly, welcome Meg the Geek in my lower left-hand corner.
Hi, guys.
She is awesome. She is what her namesake is, and I want to give her a moment to tell us what she classifies her entertainment portion of her channel is. She has a YouTube channel. It's in the link in the description.
I think a geek would pretty much sum it all up. No, but I'm all into movies. I'm a huge Blu-ray collector, just kind of starting in the 4K realm. Obviously, huge Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead fan. Video games, television shows, pretty much you name it, conventions. I just came back from Wizard World Philly last night. So pretty much, if it's part of the geek realm, I'm part of it, except for cosplay, which I want to get into soon.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Very cool.
I mean, what's the latest projects that you've been working on, actually? Like,
let's see. I am starting to, I just vlogged the whole weekend from Wizard World, so I'm kind of starting to put that together. Just kind of documenting my experiences. Like, if you go to my page, it'll say just all these things, and then, like, I just like to document it, so that's kind of what I want to, like, a day in the life of the geek, kind of.
Oh, so like a day in your life vlogisodes.
Yeah, so, like, well, that's kind of what the Philly one is going to be all about. And then in 2 weeks, I'm going to FanFest, New Jersey, or are we still calling it Walker Stalker?
FanFest, New Jersey, officially.
I'm still calling it Walker Stalker. So, I don't know if I'll get in trouble for calling it that, but whatever. So I'm going to, like,
who's
vlog
going to sue you
whole
now?
thing. Oh, God. We won't go there.
Yeah.
Start vlogging that whole thing, and then I'm off that, and then just kind of doing stupid, silly geek videos until my next convention.
Awesome. Actually, I have a question in that regard. So, Wizard World, what? How would you classify that, and what would be?
A half-assed New York Comic-Con.
That's perfect for me. Like,
okay, no,
New York seems like a beast to me.
It is. New York is a beast. I've been to 2 New York Comic Cons, and this is my first Wizard World. I had fun. Don't get me wrong, but the guest list sucked. Like, so many people backed out, but I mainly went for the cast of the original Charm show.
Okay, I saw pictures from that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a blast, but the rest of it was like, I got a lot of freebies that I'm gonna do giveaways for. So
I noticed that already. Yeah.
Instagram.
And by the way, if you go to her Instagram, Meg the Geek, she already has one going on. So
yep, I'm gonna add another one tomorrow.
Oh, it's turning into a daily thing.
I know. I got so much stuff from Wizard World. I got to start giving it away.
Yeah, it's like she's doing what's that Netflix show about organizing things and throwing things away and whatnot?
Marie Kondo?
Thank you.
Or Kando, whatever her name is.
Yeah, Kondo.
If it doesn't give you joy.
Yeah, just put it aside. Just give it away on Instagram.
Yeah, I got some free autographs, but like they're not personalized, so I want to give those away too.
All right, but Jesus.
That's follow awesome. Me if you want to win cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Just followed you.
Oh, awesome! Thank you. That was hard.
That was easy.
Fast.
And button.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy button.
It was just that easy, folks. You can do it too.
And this is how.
Yeah, and this is how. I'm not going to teach you the internet.
Definitely not me.
I'm not going to teach Rachel the internet, even though she figured it out on her own. Speaking of Rachel, by the way, yes,
getting there.
St. Jude's Jude's charity. We are trying to get her to alpha status, and I'm not talking about like alpha, omega, beta. We're talking about alpha, like as in the scary alpha. We're trying to shave her head.
Yeah.
The link is in the description. Facebook, YouTube.
That's right.
Donate today. We need to raise $5,000 by August, or else you guys are gonna make us do like a telethon, the old school telethon, and we're gonna keep going. You guys are going to make us keep going 24 hours until we raise that money. So don't do it. We have kids. I don't have kids, but they have kids.
Just help the kids.
Yeah, I'll keep going. I'll do it. But like they have to like feed them and put them to bed and stuff. It's very rude. So please donate right now. Please do it for the children. Do it for their children.
That's right.
Yeah. Anywho, one bit of news. I know that I kind of let the cat out of the bag a little early, but it's only because it wasn't really confirmed. But Kari Payton has officially pulled out of Walker Stalker Atlanta.
Yeah, I
It's
saw.
kind of a shame. Yeah, he posted it today on Instagram, and everybody's been reposting it. That's how rocking it is to the universe. Initial thoughts from the crowd, from the peanut gallery?
I kind of... All right, so did you guys see the thing about what Angel Theory said, how she said she's not gonna not go to the show she's signed on for, but she's not gonna go to any others? I kind of feel like that's what Cooper and Carrie should have done, but I understand their decisions. Yeah,
I mean, it sounded like they committed, but yeah, but a lot of people have been pulling out lately. It's really kind of weird. Like some people, like obviously, I think wasn't it Jeffrey Dean Morgan had to pull out of London because of like this travel issues or something?
I thought it was filming.
He was filming a movie at the time.
So there was a scheduling conflict.
Yeah.
There was all different kinds of reasons that were coming out, or like suspected reasons. Dan
Fogler said he's only going to Jersey, but that's because he's filming, what is it, that new Fantastic Beasts movie in the fall?
Oh,
so this is the only one he's going to this year, I think.
Wow. And this is expressly because of what's been coming out. That's pretty upsetting. I mean, look, we were just talking about it before the show started, and it's just a weird thing where we're reading the Q&A about that James Frazier actually had with some of the group admins of some of the Facebook groups. And I mean, I only managed to get halfway through, and I don't want to get into this too much, but I've been seeing like a very extreme split among the fans when it comes to their reaction to all this. I mean, you have, I think, an overwhelming amount of people who are like very visceral, and I think a lot of those people are vendors and stuff like that. And, you know, friends of vendors who've been screwed, and there's just a whole bunch of anger. And I don't know if it's like a sign of the times or something like that, but I feel like there's a little bit of overreactions. I think, you know, people that are a little bit too angry, because I think at the end of the day, if you are a Walking Dead fan, this is the convention. There is really no other one to go to. Like, otherwise you're sharing it with a whole bunch of other fandoms, and it's kind of like, it's just not the same. And it took like a couple of people in the cosplay world to actually point that out to me. It's like, well, you could show up as Carl, let's say, but if you're going to like a multi-fandom con, you'd like, oh, who are you supposed to be? And then you do kind of face, you know? So what do you guys think? How many of you guys read the Q&A? I mean, actually, Carol, did you read the whole thing or?
Not the whole thing.
Yeah.
I read part of it. It was a lot.
Meg, you read the whole thing, right?
Yeah, there was a couple things I skimmed through, but for I kind of read the ones that were the most detailed paragraphs. I felt like that was kind of the heavy hitters. And it did reassure me in a lot of ways, especially for the ones I'm going to. So I know that sounds kind of selfish, but I really do feel bad for everyone who's still owed a lot of money. It's a horrible thing, but I kind of like the way that they're doing it. And I know if I was in their shoes of being owed all that money, that I would be, you know, constantly nagging, but you kind of have to respect the system that they're doing. Otherwise, like I believe they said this in the Q&A, that if they refunded everyone today, they'd be out of business and we would have no con whatsoever.
Right, and I think a lot of people that are complaining about it are forgetting the fact that if they don't do this or they don't do it this way, I mean, you're not going to have your con. Exactly. And that's kind of like paramount. I mean, if you're still a fan, you're still like involved, and actually, especially if you're a vendor, if this is your bread and butter, why would you want to lose that? You know what I mean? So, I mean, which is not to say that I begrudge them at all. Like, I don't. And I speak to a lot of vendors who are just really, most of them actually are pretty well, kind of like tempered, you know. They're like, they don't really speak about it in public, so like when you get a chance to speak in the DMs, they're kind of level-headed. Like, they're really pissed, but it's like, you know, what am I going to do? You know, I just have to trust that they're going to pay me back and stuff like that. So, you know, what are you going to do? And so I mean, if I had to say anything at all before we move on, is I think everybody, if you love Walker Stalker, I don't begrudge you at all, but let's give it a chance. Look, they've reserved the next few years, this one, the next one, and the one after that. I mean, though, at least the Atlanta ones are happening. So, I mean, if you are a big Walking Dead fan, I mean, I'm not saying you have no choice, but you know, give it a chance. I mean, I've come to the conclusion, even though I haven't read the whole thing, I kind of got to page 7, I think it was, and then I just, you know, we got stuff to do, and I think I mean, you have an end point. You know, there's an end point. It's like, well, look, I can be pissed and there's all this on the left, but at the end of the day, what do I really want? And what I really want is to connect with everybody, like to connect with all you guys and to take pictures of your cosplay, take pictures with you. I mean, even though I'm terrible at it, but you know, and I just want to talk to you guys at the end of the day. So let's make that happen. Let's give it a chance. Let's see what happens. And at the end of the day, it could be really fun. You know, I mean, there's going to be hurdles and we're just going to have to deal with it. You know, as a group, as a Walking Dead family, like a TWD family or Fear family, as it were, because we're talking about the episode today that you just watched just now. So usually, and I kind of forgot to do this, is that let me say hi to a couple people in the chat, like Thomas O'Mara, who is Celtic TSO on Instagram. He had a few funny dad jokes, like funny how you're talking about pulling out on Father's Day, like pulling out of Walker Stalker. And Squawking Dead gives me joy. Sharon from Australia is tuning in.
Wow.
I know who you are, Sharon. She's like, hi, David. It's Sharon from Australia. I know you.
It's really late there, isn't it?
Who knows? I can't do time zone math past Israel
Somebody
or something.
Google it, please.
Yeah. What time is it, Sharon? Let us know. Who needs Google when you've got people who can tell you? I feel like an old man. Hey, what time is it? You have a watch, Dad. So anyway, for those who are really confused about the title of tonight's,
It's 12:30 in the afternoon.
oh well, there you go. It's a lovely day. She's just laughing at us. She didn't even answer us.
So she's spending her lunch break with us, essentially.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. So if you haven't recognized the episode of tonight's Fear the Walking Dead episode, I actually, when I was looking at the titles of the episodes this season, I was like, oh, Humbug's Gulch. The guy mentioned this in the episode Laura last year, but he's doing all the trick shots and stuff like that in his off time as a cop. And I was kind of like, what is this going to entail? Is this have anything to do with the Old West scenes in the trailer? And I'm like, oh yeah, it does. Oh yeah. Okay. So what I forgot to do, what I've neglected to do in the last several episodes is what I usually do after the intro is I throw it to somebody to try to start somewhere, anywhere, and then we just kind of work our way out or in or up or down from there. So tonight, I'm going to give the honor to Meg. Just pick any part of the episode. Yeah, pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, and then we'll go from there. What do you want to? What's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? Obviously, there's some obvious talking points, but
there's definitely some obvious talking points. One thing I kind of noticed this episode 2, so last week. I like how in each episode, it's in the beginning, so it's kind of kicking us off, how each opening credit is kind of serving how the episode will run.
Yeah.
Like last week, what was it? The head in the bird cage type. And then this week it was like the tumbleweeds and like the wind.
Yeah.
So I kind of like how it kind of kicked it off. Please someone take over because I'm suddenly lost my train of thought.
Well, like how I think every episode it kind of zooms in a little more too. Like I don't know if you've noticed, but like at the first episode it kind of zooms in a little bit more, and the second episode kind of zooms in a little bit more, and the third one obviously tonight's you can't really tell because there's just so much debris flying across the screen. But they did again, like when they had the storm last year. I love how they kind of I love how you could barely hear the theme in that episode, like the theme music, because the storm was so loud,
right?
And then eventually it blows away the actual title credits,
right?
Title.
Yeah.
So they did somewhat similar thing where they are kind of
the arc got like jostled a little.
And it kind of speaks to the series too. Like I'm loving how, and it's never been more apparent in this goddamn episode. Oh my God, Nisa is saying, "Hi, it's Nisa from Brazil."
I love her so
I'm
much.
sorry, that needed to be mentioned. She's like a regular
I love
listener.
her.
Break my train of thought. Thank you. You can't not. I'm sorry.
She's the greatest.
Yeah, so it speaks to the series because the series is slowly getting like, whereas the series was kind of like very serious in the first 3 seasons, the fourth and the fifth, and especially this season, right? They're continuing to do things that like you would not get away with on The Walking Dead, like in terms of plausible deniability. Like, this whole episode,
especially that trick shot at the end.
Yeah, can we
exactly
especially talk about the San Antonio split?
Like,
we could start there.
Well, that whole thing, that whole piece, like, I mean, I love the Wild West vibe of it. It was very Westworld. Totally was very
everything West.
Everything. But like it had that sort of vibe. I love the twanginess. I loved the whole kind of feeling, like even like having like the piano organ playing to like draw in the cars when they were going up on the roof. Like I just loved a lot of those touches. But yeah, it was kind of like the moment I've been waiting for, because I mean always said I'm a big John Dory and like June fan, like in general. So to be able to see him do those tricks that we know that he was able to do, it was
that
like
we get every now and again, right?
Yeah, we got little pieces here and there. We got like little glimpses, but this was the moment where it was like out of like a video game, you know? So it was cool to like finally see it, you know? Even like June's character was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that, you know, that Magic Loogie episode of Seinfeld where it just went boom, 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 boom. That's exactly what it reminded me of. I was like, okay.
I forgot about that episode.
Larry David, is that you?
You know what? Actually, can you explain that just for people who don't know? Like, Rachel, are you... yeah, I figured.
Somebody else want... Wait, me or someone else? Someone else.
Go for it, Meg.
All right. So Seinfeld, essentially show about nothing, classic show from the 90s. So in this one episode...
It was Seinfeld.
You know,
just not the particular moment.
Okay, so in this episode, they talked about how, I think it was Kramer and someone else was at a baseball game, and somebody spit, and it went from one thing, bounced off to another.
It bounced off objects?
Bounced off objects and people, I think.
Okay.
They were kind of mocking it to AFK assassination.
Yeah.
And like in the and they literally had a stick to be like, okay, went from here to here. And that was one Magic Loogie. And that is so like when the bullet hit the axe and it went ding 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 ding. I have to go find that episode so you can get the reference.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
I'm sure there's a clip too. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a clip. Absolutely, there has to be a clip.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The San Antonio split. The Fitchburg Flapper. I don't remember what it was. Anyway.
No, there were all these names.
Yeah. I mean, I titled all those scenes, I just titled Shootout at the OK Corral.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm not quite sure. Okay, so we've talked about the trick shot. Now let's talk about the music.
Loved it.
Because as soon as they strolled into town,
like
all the Western music.
Yeah, I loved it though. I loved it.
And then again and again, I'm like, they're really leaning into. And could you get away with that shit in The Walking Dead? No. I'm gonna point this out every episode because that's what it is. Like, you got to differentiate the series.
You have to differentiate from the series, but it's also similar to The Walking Dead in that I think they're leaning on like these larger than life characters, because what I've always said that was one of the things that Fear had was that, or that I don't know if had is the word, but I mean, basically we were following this family. So they were like, quote unquote, normal. Whereas on Walking Dead, it's like you have these larger than life characters. That's like a sheriff, an archer, a samurai. You know what I mean? Like they're just these sort of like caricatures, you know? Whereas on Fear, the characters have been like, okay, this is how normal people, a family, would handle the apocalypse. And I think now we kind of are leaning more towards having these kind of characters. Like John Dory is this character. He's the gunslinger. And, you know, it's cool to see, like when I see like this kind of like caricature of like a gunslinger and I see him on my TV, I'm like, this is awesome. Like I get like excited. I'm like, I enjoy seeing that, you know? So I don't know. It is, you know, it is more kitschy than The Walking Dead, obviously, like the music, like the, you know, these kind of like little details that are very like, they're not hokey, but you know what I mean? Like there's humor in it, you know, which is definitely like different.
Just a bit of camp.
A little camp, exactly. A little campy, but it works. It works. And I think it's because like it's you still have it tempered by the other stuff that was going on in the episode.
Oh yeah, the much more serious things.
Right.
Wow.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, it kind of proves the fact that you can do both. You know, you can have a little of that suspension of disbelief. Like, I mean, even like little tiny things that if you're not careful of, like you'll miss. Like there's the one scene like where they're fighting off the dead and Austin Emilio, Dwight is kind of like, like instead of running towards the car, he's running back to the van. John shoots one of the dudes, exactly. Shoots one of the zombies and like
walkers.
That
was funny too. So what you call them?
Hang on, what?
What'd you call it?
Yeah, exactly. And then like that, and then he hits a walker, and then it tumbles into the trough, kind of like these old West shows like Bonanza or something.
Exactly. You know what I thought of Back to the Future 3. Because they ended up in the trough.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. These are all like tropes. These are all like Wild West tropes.
But I loved it. I love seeing those tropes.
Like a lot of throwbacks to classic Western years. Like,
yes.
I fully expected John Wayne to pop out or Dirty Harry. Like,
or just like a showdown. Like even the way certain scenes were framed where he's like coming out from this like long shot or whatever. It's like, okay, and then straight across the way is going to be your, your enemy,
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, and fuck me if I'm wrong, but, like, the one walker, as they walk into town that's on the road, and there's, like, a toy horse. I think that's a toy horse in the background. But, like, the one walker, I think, was dressed in, like, Old West clothes. I wasn't sure when watching it the second time around live tonight.
I have to go back.
But, yeah. Take a look at that.
Thank God for DVR so we can check this out.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and like look at the silhouette of the sign as they're walking in. The dude on the sign. It's like they built this place around John Dory. It's like it's like somebody like just went like this, like, I'm gonna make you a star, kid, and we're gonna open all these Humbug Gulches around El Paso and Macau and all those other places. Just like, but like, didn't it look like him? Like, sort of.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was him.
I think he should sue them. Is there a court system?
I think Michonne was working on one. Remember?
Yeah.
On one. Oh yeah, on a law degree. Yeah.
Yes, remember? Yeah. She was working on that
until it went to poop.
Yeah.
Poop. Yeah. Okay. So, humor time. Brothel.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm gonna just pick these out every episode when I see it because it's just stupid. It's so stupid, but it's awesome.
It's silly, but
it's
it was
genius. It's a soup. Yeah.
That's all. They just serve soup there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I loved it.
Yeah. But yeah, did you, okay. So we knew that Dwight was going to come this episode. Did you, because the trailers kind of made it seem as though like that we were going to discover him, like Morgan was going to discover him or something like that. But
they kind of, the way they framed like the previews and all that, they made it seem like as if he was going to come across him, and it wasn't obviously that.
Yeah, like, out of nowhere. Like,
right.
Hey, Dwight, what?
Oh, yeah. I loved how they did it. I was telling my husband even while while we were watching it, this is the first time that a group we already know is meeting somebody that we already know we know where Dwight came from, and they're meeting him for the first time, and they do not know his history. And like, I can't think of another time where that's happened on any show, really.
Yeah. But and you know what? It's funny how like we've talked about it, like how he's going to enter, like I've even said in 2 episodes in a row, kind of like we're going to see him come into a series where people are being pushed, where people are going to be challenged. And like for the life of me, I completely forget that like one of those things that was in the first episode was, John getting frustrated. I mean, almost, and I didn't talk about this because, of time, but like in the first episode, he almost looks like he has survivor's guilt. Do you know what I mean? Like talking to June, he's like, I don't know, like when's our luck gonna run out? Like we have all this luck, we've gotten here, but we don't have the fortune of sharing it with everybody. He kind of mentions it in this episode too.
Yeah.
But like how interesting and wonderful that it's Jonna and June that are doing it, because they're the perfect people to kind of be like a mirror to what Dwight's going through. Like in addition to the fact that like Dwight's on a mission and our group is on a mission, there's also this explicitly coupled struggle that's going on that mirrors the other. And I just thought things lined up really, really well to where they were at the perfect moment to actually, why am I challenged? And it said best at the episode, like in the process of actually helping Dwight, and you had those lines from a couple episodes ago, they see Dwight suffering and they're like, what the hell are we thinking? Like, why are we doubting the fact that, why are we questioning the fact of why we're so lucky? Why are we questioning the fact that like, maybe we don't deserve this? It's like, we're here. We gotta embrace this while we have it, Yeah. And then you get to the end of the episode and it's kind of like, I'm glad you said what you said, June, because it wasn't just that I wanted to share with everybody. I was questioning whether I deserved it or not. And because you said that, it kind of made just like a ton of bricks off my shoulder. Like feeling that is almost like, what the heck am I doing here? So what the hey? But yeah, like observations on like, I mean, just the dynamic that's going on. Because, like, how many of you just stood up and just yelled, Dwight, when he came on the screen? And he's, like, yelling, by the way. It's being very rude.
It was it was great. It was cool to see him, but I was just really I was just dying to just kind of see like how this interaction was going to go. And I mean, it's kind of interesting what you said about like us knowing the backstory and all of that when they have Dwight tied up and he asks like, oh, to June, it's like, oh, you think that burn happened like before or like whatever? And she was like, no, that couldn't have happened like before. And I was like, man, if you only knew like, what this dude has like been through, it's like, it's a whole other world.
And connect that with like, I've done things like when he said I've done things you can't even imagine. Like, oh boy.
Yeah. And it's like, and we know all of it. We know all the back history. So it's so interesting to kind of just see it kind of come together.
Yeah.
He said that, and I immediately pictured Denise. That was the first thing I thought of when he said, I've done things.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Daryl constantly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
See, Daryl's tough. He can take it.
Oh yeah, and even on the base level, like just handing Sherry off to Negan, like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he handed her off. I don't think he had too much of a choice.
Very
sounded
willingly.
like it was her decision.
Yeah,
she made the deal with Negan.
Yeah, she took it from him.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes into the whole just survive somehow, like what Enid's always saying. Sure. So she did, kind of what you had to do. I'm still pissed that she's sending him on a wild goose chase right now, but
yeah.
Well, we don't know why she's running too. I mean, there's
true
there.
Right.
Yeah. To kind of recap what we said last week, or what I had said was that because I had assumed. I don't know if we're going to get into this now, but I'd assumed that it was like a bunch of big bads that we'd never seen before, other than the Commonwealth but like, I am just so clueless right now about what's going on. And I'm not sure if I want to talk about this right now, but we had assumed that Sherry was with the big bad, and now I'm not sure at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the same boat as Dwight, John, June, the rest of the crew. Like, okay, where's Sherry? Where is she?
I've been saying that for how many seasons? 2 seasons. Yeah. I'm like, where's Sherry? Sherry's coming back. And, if this Sherry is anything similar to Sherry from the comics, it's like she could do some damage.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what if Sherry is the big bad?
That's my thought.
Or you're saying
that was my theory last show. Yeah.
That's my theory. Not my theory, but that's my thought. I'm leaning more and more towards, I think you're right, Rach. I think that I think that she definitely has something to do.
Yeah. I don't think these little kids can pull off all this work on their own.
No.
Got to be more.
I mean, I don't know.
People or more kids, or maybe Sherry is helping the kids.
There's somebody who masterminds this whole larger picture of it. I think that the kids are just basically like, they're executing whatever like the bigger plan is, but she might be at the helm of all this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have an alternative, and this is going to screw everything up. But if you remember in the trailer, we saw a bunch of kids. So what I'm thinking is these guys have no choice. They're protecting a whole bunch of children. Like, was it Annie, Max, and Dylan? They're protecting children. And that makes sense because if they're fleeing Camp Cackleberry and all the adults died, they got sick, they got stupid and burnt the bodies. The only thing where I want to tie it into something where Sherry's out there is there obviously was either like a firefight or they were trying to protect themselves from the walkers or whatever it is. They must have protected themselves from like maybe a group, because I was even thinking the kids were also, obviously the kids are from the town and the townspeople were trying to keep the reactor up. But what if they were in camp at the time or whatever it is and all their families died, and then the counselor started to turn because they got sick because of the radioactive bodies and blah, blah, blah. So only the kids are left from Camp Cackleberry. So it's not even as much a big bad anymore. I mean, I'm still not convinced that they're definitely the people that are pulling it off, but I just don't I'm more in the camp of I'm relying on the trailer to kind of base my prediction.
Our big bad's going to be whoever took Althea.
Yeah. And we all know who that is, but there may be something else. There may be something else that we're missing. I mean, I don't know what that is.
I don't know. Are you going to be a little disappointed though? I mean, if we see all these theatrics, the decapitated heads and the guts strung up, and then it's not someone really super scary.
I'm not going to be disappointed. We've got so much to look forward to. Like the springboard of all these series, by the way, is like between the spinoff, between what could be in The Walking Dead, and our little swan song theory in the last episode, where this is all going to end up being Althea's last story, and she's the sole survivor, or maybe a couple others, but not anybody from Fear. Like that. So, and that's fine with me. But yeah, I mean, there's so much springing forth from this season that I wouldn't be disappointed if they find a way to kind of tie in, and they're gonna Logan and Wendell and Sarah's story, which we're gonna probably get back to next week, as we saw. If you stuck around and saw the sneak peeks, which I kind of wanted to give you more time to check out, we do see that we're back at Daniel's place. Strand is kind of scoping out the place, and Charlie. It looks like Charlie infiltrated Daniel's place, like she's in the hangar. Yeah, and there's a couple of planes. It looks like, or maybe at least one, but. Something about leaving once Daniel leaves, open the gate. So it may be that Strand finds a way to outsmart Daniel and will make it over to help the rest of them out. But I mean, it's anyone's guess. It's anyone's guess what's going to happen at this point. There is going to have to be some big resolution, and it may be one of those things where there is no big bad, and maybe Logan it does end up being the big bad, quote unquote, and all the stuff we said last week gets thrown out the window, which is not bad. We can be wrong. It's fine. It's fun.
I kind of like that we don't know, because obviously with the main show we have the comics to kind of go off of, but since this is so original, I like that we don't know. All we can do is speculate.
And where does Grace fit in all this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, she's definitely in one of the top, just below top billing. She's coming off of Once Upon a Time. Matt
Grace is the big bad. I'm just going to throw all these notions out there.
Oh, well, let's talk about that. What do you see is, what could she be doing with all those dosimeters? What's her
honestly, I've just this is the first thought of it that came to my head, so I'm kind of winging it with this, but I don't know, something maybe with the radioactiveness, kind of maybe infecting the kids, making them think different, if that's even possible, mixing it with something, I don't know.
Yeah, but we know kids in the apocalypse. We're familiar with them. They're
that's true.
They're kind of little assholes.
Yeah, well, so are some of the adults, but
kids in the apocalypse don't need much influence to do bad things.
Yeah. I mean, they're super capable, but super need a conscience. So,
we saw that in Walking Dead with that Michonne episode. What was it, Scars, I think it was called?
Yeah, holy crap.
Yeah.
So,
never been more clear.
Proof they don't need influence.
Yeah. So, okay, so I had a line of questions, at least 4, when it came to the reveal at the end that it was the kids that's stringing up all these fucking walkers and putting heads in baskets on top of the trees and stuff like that, playing Donkey Kong the whole time, whoop. That was a lot of fun last week. But okay, so who killed their parents? Assuming they had parents and aren't demon spawn. I literally wrote that. Yeah. I mean, so. What do you guys think? Where do you think their parents were at the time? Were they at the camp, or were they in their homes, or I'm just was their story real?
So many possibilities for their backstory, and I don't know that we'll ever know all of their backstories. But obviously, they died.
Yes.
I mean, they could have killed them for all we know. I don't know that we'll find out their backstory.
Yeah.
Well, so let's put it this way. In your mind, given this new information, who is the big bad, if there is one? Are the kids a threat now? I need your opinions here, because I'm not sure what to think. Because even though we saw that scene, I'm not sure.
I'm really not sure either. What Max said at the very end was especially confusing, because they're setting all these things up, and the girl and Annie says to him, "Do you think they bought it?" And we know that Dylan is a plant of some kind, and he's gonna, I don't know, find out where Althea went. I assume he meant by who took their friend.
Right, that they'll find out it's not us, is what he meant.
Oh, okay. But I mean, why would they never even thought it was the kids? Why are they going through all this trouble to prove they didn't do something wrong? They haven't been suspected of anything.
Well, I mean, they don't know that the kids are doing it, but because the kids, if you remember what the kids were saying on the walkie was, they'll hear us, they.
Right.
Meaning
whoever
the people the people that are putting heads in baskets and assuming, trying to throw off the scent, and why would they think it was the kids, so the kids got a good racket,
They do. I guess I don't quite understand why yet.
Right. And I'm going with the theory that they're protecting the other kids from the camp, but
so they they think we're dangerous, essentially.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Okay, they think we're gonna hurt them.
Right.
Okay.
Or they're gonna screw things up like adults always do. Maybe that's the angle.
It could be because then Max says, find out why they're really here. Like, did somebody send us here? So maybe they've been tricked before by adults.
And the adults paid for it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And now they're what do they call bowel? What do they call them?
Yeah. What did they say?
What do they call them? Bowel barricade.
Yeah, bowel barricades. Who said that? Was it Dwight or was it?
It was Dory. I think it was Dory.
Yeah, it was Dory. Okay.
I laughed so hard at that.
Yeah. So I the more I thought about it, the more I was thinking like they're not a threat, but they're certainly freaking me out.
Oof, yeah.
Like, and first of all, like, by the way, I love the introduction is still of like baseball gear to kind of hail back to the diamond. They're wearing like catcher's helmets and baseball. Yeah. So I only caught that in the second rewatch, in the live rewatch just now. I'm like, oh yeah, they are wearing baseball gear. So why are they doing this is the question. So that's a big question. Like, no idea, right? But like, it's like you said, Meg. It's like I love that. I love not knowing because they can go anywhere with this, and they can build something up to us. I think that's what they need to do a better job of. Is that like at least get you to somewhere so that they can subvert your expectations. Like. You're just sitting there at home and they're like, oh God, they're going to think that the kids are totally helpless. And then like, oh, wait until the end of the episode. Oh, wait until the episode. But I think they have to do that a little bit more often with some of the other pieces in this, puzzle. Like lead us down a garden path and then just subvert our expectations.
I think they need to do that with as far as announcing who's going to be on the episode. I'm pissed that they told us so far in advance that.
You saw that, right? I commented on that earlier. It was just kind of like, just stop announcing who's going to show up.
Strand.
Daniel and Dwight.
Yeah, but I said Strand on accident though.
Yeah, that was the final straw. Was it Daniel or was it Dwight that I commented on that about? I don't know.
I don't remember.
I think it was Daniel though.
I think so. But either way, it's just like think about in the other show when they had the time jump after Rick. All of a sudden, we just see this kid, and all of a sudden we realize, bam, it's Judith. And nobody knew that was coming. Why couldn't they have done something like that this time? Like, surprise, Dwight. Surprise, Daniel. It's not that hard. I
think they're scared, honestly. Like, if you take the moment to think about it, it's like, if we don't do this, nobody's going to watch this episode live this week. Yeah. It's an unfortunate situation to be in because I don't think they're trusting in the power of... Like, can you imagine if it's not... Think of everybody looking at the Fear the Walking Dead account, or even the Walking Dead account, by the way, because they're boosting Fear the Walking Dead right now. But, like, let's say you missed the Walking Dead's post. Just say. Mm-hmm. Like, can you imagine how bigger the reaction would be if they would have just let it go and be like, oh, my God! So many people tweeting on the internet, Dwight! Daniel Salazar! Hashtag.
You know how much free PR that would have been for them?
They're just not trusting it. They're just not trusting in the multiple voices, the multitude of voices on the internet.
They could have teased a big guest or someone from the past or someone from something. They didn't have to flat out say it's going to be who it was.
Yeah, exactly. Get psyched. Daniel's out. Wait, hold on a second. Where is what? Yeah. Why are you telling us this?
Exactly.
Just blow it up, man. And now like they just let all the air out of that balloon. And like there's no excitement. Like everybody's posting pictures of Dwight. That's cool. Or like pictures of Daniel Salazar. That's cool. But there's no freak out reaction. There's no they robbed themselves of the what is it called? Of the trending. Of the Twitter trending or there are no Instagram trendings, are there? Yeah.
No. Yeah. I don't think so.
Yeah. They're doing something wrong. Facebook. Yeah. But yeah, I just perfect. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do. I mean, I'll talk to somebody. I'll talk to somebody. It's fine.
Send the tweets out to keep it a surprise.
There were a lot of likes to that tweet, by the way, and there's still likes going to that response I sent them too. And several retweets too. It's just kind of like people were of the same mind. I went down the list of replies to that post too, and like there were at least half of them that were saying, "Why would you say that? Why would you say that out loud?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and like I want to ask about the firefight at camp. Like who was fighting whom at Camp Cackleberry? But that thing is a dead end. Like honestly, I like you bringing out and saying Grace is maybe a bad guy because here we are assuming that she's a good guy, and now this is like the Ashley Weidman thing. Like you'll throw like, what if RJ isn't real? And I'll be like,
it's like,
wait, hold on a second.
Oh man, that messed me up for weeks, man.
Like that whole week, I was just kind of like, even though we thought it through rationally, like we got in the next episode. Ashley, thank you.
Still,
like go fuck yourself. I had nightmares. Started crying in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh, it's just so sad. Oh man, but
I guess I could back Meg's theory up, about Grace being a bad guy. I mean, she says she's out there, killing the last of the radiated people, but maybe really they're like, victims that got away, and she's finishing her job,
like cleaning up after herself.
Yeah.
Or like, and this is the evidence, basically.
Camp. Yeah, she could have had something to do with the camp too.
Oh boy. And what is she after, right? Like, why is she trying to get those kids, y'all? I don't know. Yeah. None of this sounds good at all. Like in the real world, that sounds kind of weird. That sounds like a horror movie. Yeah. But speaking of movies, okay, while I was watching this episode, I was thinking to myself, the one thing that the showrunner said in Talking Dead in the season premiere was that they didn't say this as much as it was kind of like, well, the movies do say something about what this season's going to reflect overall. Like, so John and June's movie list, which I still have to post. I'm sorry. The list of movies on that list kind of describe the way the season's going to go, And one of the movies on the list is The Goonies and Indiana Jones and the Lost Raiders of the Lost Ark. So there's an element of children on an adventure. It's kind of like why I was leaning on the trailer with that. Like, okay, these kids, I'm not 100% convinced they're a big bad. That's why I was like, my brain kind of just shut down when I saw that scene, that last scene. So that's how my brain went.
Now you're making me think.
Yeah. Man, no light thinking. No, but I'm with you. I'm really, literally, the lights turned out. It's like the first time I watched it. I was like, anger gone. Don't know, think. Like, literally. It was late at night. It was early in the morning. Oh, and I slept 4 hours. I'm like talking to Jared Weidman about like clips and stuff like that, like until whatever o'clock in the morning. Like an idiot. Yeah. But yeah, the lights went out completely. And then obviously I watched live now, and I was like, oh, well, maybe, I don't know. We have a show coming up. Maybe I have to talk about it. Just love that sign, that wanted sign that says wanted Flapjack Frank. Just such a cheesy theme park. Who would, first of all, call themselves Flapjack Frank? What happened to Billy the Kid?
It's funny you talked about that, amusement park, because I live in Jersey, so where we have something like a town here called Wild West City, and I went there as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, I forget where. It's somewhere in North Jersey.
Oh, okay.
And I actually read an article about how they just opened for the season this year, and it is literally
reopened?
It reopened for the season, and it literally looks just like the Wild West, and watching the episode tonight is making me want to plan a trip out there now. Just make a John Dory type situation.
Oh my God. Pew, 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 pew. Which kind of, okay, so that kind of brings me to like, when you saw all of that, okay, in the back of your mind, didn't you go, oh my God, and correct me if I'm wrong, oh my God, John Dory is the coolest person in the Walking Dead universe right now in my mind. Because it made me instantly think of that running chase scene between Rick and Negan, and how like Rick couldn't get with his big ass fork python, could not get a shot. Now again, we broke it down, and I was like, I've spoken to like policemen in training, and it's really hard to hit a moving target. Really, really hard to hit a moving target. That being said, John Dory.
Yes, but I mean that scene with Rick and Negan. I mean, it wasn't just a cold python thing. It was like he literally, when they had that car chase and they crashed the car. I remember distinctly. Rick comes out with a freaking assault vehicle, assault rifle,
assault rifle, semi-automatic,
and immediately just starts like
spraying and praying,
and I was like, really nothing, like.
Yeah, it's like a stormtrooper just couldn't hit anything.
Like nothing.
Oh my God! Why didn't anybody edit that video to like show the laser beams from Star Wars?
Probably is. It probably exists somewhere.
I've not seen it. Like, we're very engrossed people. How come?
Oh my God.
But you know what I heard though? That I heard that when they started Walking Dead and they did these shootout scenes, they used real
practical effects
with blanks. Yeah. And so when they had all the firefights at like the prison, you notice a difference in the style of fighting because they actually recoiled, because they were like actually using blanks. Whereas like now everything is just added in post-production.
You know, we mentioned it on that episode, by the way. Yeah. It was like this one little factoid that I pulled from, I forget who, I think, no, it was somebody in production on their Instagram. They were like, you know, telling the difference between then and now. And so like, if you look at the beginning of the season, like with the shootout at it's wherever they found Baby Gracie, okay?
Yeah, where the savior place when they were looking for the weapons. Yeah.
That was all CG.
That was all CG.
Whereas with Negan, I think that particular scene that was practical.
Oh yeah.
I'm not 100% certain because I know they at some point they changed back, you know, or maybe partially CG,
maybe certain ones, maybe certain scenes they felt like okay, and other ones they were like no.
But like I think for the most part for those seasons it was just it's all CG.
Yeah. But basically John Dorie is like a freaking sniper. Like he's just like picking them off, and like Rick Grimes, who's a sheriff, not winning.
Oh, and keep in mind, like you saying all that, these guys, if you go to Terran Tactical, at Terran Tactical on Instagram, they did practical weapons training. So, and what they are using is like, you know, real, like, well, not real guns, but like guns that have kick. And again, like from the first episode, practical effects from the plane crash and stuff like that. Not a lot of the stuff is CG, except for like where there's like a hole missing somewhere in a walker's face.
Right.
You know, or something like that, you know, but other than that, it's most of it's practical effects. Like the team, the Fear the Walking Dead team, there are a lot. I mean, K&B is obviously working on both, but like beyond that, the props team is different. Like, you know, like I'm like really in touch with, I should blow her spot right now. Actually, it's, Suassin, like Sue Sassin, whatever, you'll figure it out. If she does the props for Fear the Walking Dead, and I swear to God, A, she's funny as hell, but B, every now and again you'll get like a like they'll show you how they made, let's say, Dwight's axe or like Althea's like knife thing and whatever. Just
that's such a cool job.
Scroll down, man. She is awesome, and she goes through the whole process. She'll tell you how it's made so that you can do it yourself. I mean, you won't, but you know, it's nice that you know you can.
But it's nice to know how.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that would help. If you are into cosplay, follow her account. Like, at least you don't have to go whole hog and do it exactly how she's doing it, because it's her job. It's tough.
Absolutely.
But you can get some of the basics down, you know? Dwight in the van. That scene was rough. Oh, God. Like you kind of thought he was about to do that, and then all of a sudden, that's that big gun with the kick to it, too. So, yeah. Would have been a little messy. Like, what was going on in your mind when, because that was tough. That was really rough to watch. Like, we've been watching him try to go after her from even before that, you know, like at the end of the episode, at the end of the season last year. Yeah. What was going through your mind? Like, Rachel, what were you thinking? Yeah, I know you're about to drink something. Screw you. You can't drink. What do you think this is? You can't take a break.
Yeah, it was really rough to watch. I mean, as soon as he like glanced over at the gun, I just got a pit in my stomach, and I'm like, dude, no, just after everything, no.
Yeah, and this is where we are.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, he's not watching the show, so he doesn't feel the hope that I do. you know, and I'm like, you know, you're gonna find her. You're gonna find her. Just wait. But you know, I don't know. I also get it. You know, I almost feel like finding John and June. Well, having John and June find him and seeing them together, and that they did find them. It should give him hope, but I don't know. It might also just be a big cosmic slap in the face. Like, look what you'll never have.
Right.
You know,
I mean, even if you go back to last year, like when we're going through that whole thing, that whole timey-wimey, jumpy-wumpy thing, yeah. I really, really thought, and I don't know if, Carol, you felt the same way, because it was really just she and I at the time, and she didn't want to be there at some point. I don't blame her. Martha.
Martha. That's all that needs to be said, Martha.
Oh, Martha.
But like part of me was kind of like, I don't think this is gonna happen. Like we know how this goes. This is the Walking Dead universe. This
what
stuff
about John Dorie and June?
Yeah, I was like, I didn't think that they would get back together. I
did. I don't know. For some reason, I don't. Yeah, I didn't count him out, and I didn't count her out. I was like, no.
You didn't count him out finding her, right? Like something like that.
Yeah. I didn't think that it was. I didn't think all hope was lost. Like I felt like no. I think that because I felt that there's more to this story. I didn't feel that it was like there's more to this. Like we have to continue with their trajectory, because there's more.
Right.
I don't know. So maybe because of that, I just kind of thought, no, even with Dwight, like, I mean, when he was in the van, it's like, he glances at the gun, but I was like, he's not doing it. Like, I mean, it's like, like I knew, like in my heart of hearts, like, I was like, this isn't going to happen. He's not going to do this or whatever.
Yeah, it's on his contract.
There was.
By the way, that's how we knew Alden wasn't going to bite it at the end of the season.
It's not even right. Like, I feel like there is sometimes like, and most of the time I'm pretty good about it. I will say that there was a similar situation like that where I did think that the character wasn't going to make it. And I was like, oh, maybe this is really how it ends. I don't know. And it was actually, I don't know if it was like season 6 of The Walking Dead when Daryl and Aaron were stuck in a car surrounded by walkers.
Oh, yeah.
And it started to not look very good. And Daryl takes out a cigarette. And I was just like, oh, man, is this how it's going to end? Like he's having one last cigarette because this is it. Like, and Morgan comes out and like basically like saves them. Yeah, they bring him back to Alexandria and stuff. But
Teenage Mutant Ninja Morgan.
Oh, he was awesome. I was like, oh my God, it's Morgan. But no, that was one scene where I was like, yeah, this might not end well. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, and that's what made me think that. I mean, I'm like, this is The Walking Dead. There are no happy endings here.
No.
I mean, well, and to be fair, we went through 2 seasons of hell. So, like, we weren't expecting there to be hope in this world. But hope is what we have, and then like, and wait, no, don't get me wrong. I love it to death. But the moment it gets taken away from all of us, we're going to riot in the streets. People will die. Money will be lost.
For sure.
By the way, Chris popped on the chat like a few minutes ago, and he's like, I'm watching Fear Now. I'm catching up. Should we?
He can give us live
there
thoughts.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he only popped on now, so I have no... I mean, it's Father's Day, too, so happy Father's Day to everybody out there. I got honorary Uncle Appreciation Day.
Aww.
I think it's a sack of shit, but when you get gifts, you can't really say boo, It's like... Here's a bunch of cookies. Stay where you are so you don't go anywhere, and you can babysit your nephew.
So I thought of a little something. Well, I didn't think of it. I found it on Twitter.
Go right ahead. It's all valid.
So I saw somebody tweet this. So it says that, how like Dwight said how he'd been looking for Sherry for about a year now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I don't remember who tweeted this. So if they're watching and listening, credit to you. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. So Daryl exiled him right after the war, right? Yep. And then Rick vanished about 18 months later, which means Fear would be about 8 months or so behind when Rick goes missing. I'm like all full of like the whole timeline thing.
Wait, rewind.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, because I made this mistake too. 160 days. So there is a bit of time from where even Dwight was. Was Dwight exiled right at the end before the crossover part, or was he exiled afterwards? That's what I'm confused about. Does anybody remember the end of season 8?
Oh God, that was so long ago.
Yeah. It was like right after the war ended, and Daryl drove him out to the woods and was going to kill him, and instead just said, "Take off," and he did. He stopped at that house and then kept on going.
Okay, because
pretty much right after.
Is it right after? Because there is a bit of time between, when Morgan's in the junkyard, and there's like a period of time of like, was it? We did this on the first episode when we were covering the crossover, and it was like the amount of time that it takes to grow a full eggplant, and I think it's like 160 days or something like that. So, which is how many months is that? Like 6 months?
Divided by 30.
I said it's about 8 months.
Less than 6
8
months.
months. So then you have 8 months and then 10 months. But I mean, like a year and a half between that. So if it was right after, so yeah, it's about a year in. Yeah. So, and so what I was saying, so continue your thought. Sorry. I was just trying to figure out exactly when, because there is another time jump, and then there's...
Yeah, there's like so many time jumps. But no, it's kind of, the guy was kind of saying on Twitter that which since they were about like 8 months behind when Rick goes missing, or Fear is 8 months behind when Rick goes missing.
Okay.
Then kind of tie in the fact that Alicia is the voice that Jadis heard when the bridge blew up.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that too.
Mind.
Yeah. That's possible. Yes. So I mean, what and this is probably the third time I'm saying this, but what I was thinking was that I think that we're somewhere just after the time jump. You know, just after Rick went away in the helicopter. But that theory kind of does hold water, assuming that's correct too, because. I mean, if he says he was only out there for about a year, I mean, you are right. There is like a 6 to 8 month like lag between Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, let's say, plus 6 years, let's say.
Right.
So that would kind of place him in the right spot, and that theory would actually hold a lot better water when it comes to the swan song theory that I have about Althea. How Fear closes with that, you know, Fear is like bookends with Althea kind of being like a part of the story, and now she has to be a part of a new story, you know, and closing the book on Fear the Walking Dead. So maybe I'll accept it now. Maybe what I'm more interested in knowing is like who was on the radio at the end of the Walking Dead season 9.
Alicia.
You think it's Alicia?
I do think
that was really quick too.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a few weeks now.
I was thinking Althea.
Oh, okay, that's
why I have that theory. So, you know, let me run this by you too, because I kind of want to see what you think too. The swan song theory is that the sole survivor of Fear the Walking Dead is Althea, and everybody else dies.
Aww.
With the option of Morgan and Dwight coming aboard, since they were on The Walking Dead. You know, maybe you never know.
It's all theoretical right now, so
yeah. The idea being that that you have that it gives closure to Fear the Walking Dead, but it gives all the characters involved like a bit more meaning and more drive to kind of come back or be a part of these other projects like the movie or the or The Walking Dead even. Like, you know, that gives them kind of purpose. So yeah, and the poetry behind her doing that is so that it gives Fear like a end chapter, like full closure. Like, yes, this is how the Clarks lived, and Strand, etc. But it also gives Althea purpose because she is opposed to not being a part of the story and filming it from afar. This is the one she stepped into, and she helped close it, you know, and I'm not thinking tragic death. I'm thinking like meaningful death or something like that. They died helping someone,
like a greater good type death.
Yeah, and so we don't talk about how they died. We talk about how they lived, and that's Fear the Walking Dead as a whole. And so Althea, having stepped into the story, now will never like capture another story again. She'll be a part of the world, like Morgan.
Yeah,
in a way.
Well, didn't Madison kind of pick up on that too at the end? Like not how you died, but how you lived.
Yeah, it was said on the walkie, I think too.
Yeah.
It's
like it's kind of. I just remember crying during that part when Alicia mentioned Madison. I'm still bitter about that death.
I was so busy crying that I heard it. You know, I was like, my hearing was attuned. It was heightened.
No, but you can tell. You know, every time somebody mentions Madison, it proves that it really was how she lived and not how she died.
Right, exactly.
All these lessons, they really resonated with everyone. So they were able to, like, Alicia trying to help these kids.
Yeah.
Because she spoke from the heart, because she spoke from what Madison had taught her all these years in the apocalypse.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, like, a lot of that has to do with, like, the Amina story, the bird. You know, Wilhelmina, I don't even know. Oh. But the whole story about Nick and Alicia not giving up on this bird, Nick kind of believing that it could be true, and Alicia kind of being like, you will get better.
Right.
And
because
Madison
that's
being
what
like,
their parents taught her.
Exactly. Well, they taught her that. The kids taught Madison that, you know, and then Wilhelmina.
That's true.
The only thing that I wasn't sure about was whether they called Madison that or something like that, or that was her middle name. I can't remember, but that's what the tape said, at least from Althea. That's the name she told
Althea that was her name.
Yeah. But they did call the bird Amina.
Right.
Or Wilhelmina. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah. By the way, how deflating was it when they get to this big wall of bowel barricades, right? That's what you call it? Yeah, when they get to this bit, and they're like doing the Avengers Assemble pose. Like, I think there was literally music.
It was
like,
awesome.
Dun, 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 and then all of a sudden,
had a teaser about it too.
Like, wait, hold on, I got a call. Hello? Oh, kids? Oh, guys, we gotta go. We gotta. We gotta hit the dusty trail, right, John Dory?
Survivors, assemble.
No. Oh, wait. No, we're not. We're not assembling. Oh, okay.
Okay, bye.
Oh, bye. All right. We'll put a pin in it. We'll be back.
Speaking of deflation, putting a pin in.
I'll get that later. Thanks. Can we do lunch? Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was just hilarious, actually. And then they drop a bombshell, which makes it even like, so they have this bit of funny. Like, I thought that was hilarious, and then they have this like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. But like, do you guys think? Okay, because there are some indications to me that Dylan might actually crack. He seems to be like, why would you have toys? You know, like, I don't get it. You're not like the other adults, maybe. You know. So what do you guys think? Yeah. Cooper Dodson, the actor, the guy who plays Dylan, the youngest one, who's in the car covered with guts that had intestines wrapped around so it kept him in the car.
Oh, messed up.
I mean, I kind of love it.
Why do we think he'll crack?
I think because, I mean, Max was worried that he was going to crack, and Annie was like, nah, he knows the lines, he knows what to do. But like, there are some indications that I think that he will crack and he will trust in our group.
I feel like he's kind of on the border, like between good and evil. He's just waiting to be swayed to one side,
or like willing to open the door, like Morgan.
He's also the youngest. I don't think he may not have seen as much as the older kids have.
That's true too.
Not as exposed to as much.
Who does that remind me of too? Well, I guess Henry, maybe. No, who was it? Or Judith? I don't know.
Sam.
Oh well, that's.
Oh God.
Sam.
Which is ironic because Major Dodson is Sam and Cooper is the younger brother.
Yeah.
It's good to kind of remind everybody that the kid because I like Dylan. I like his curiosity. I like his ability to question things. Like, these people don't look like those other people. They have toys. Like, who has toys? That's not useful. Obviously, let's trust them.
That's sad though. That made me sad when he didn't know what a toy was.
Yeah, maybe, right? Like, so how long has he been out there? Like, how long has his brain been online as a child? You know, like,
yeah, I feel like it hasn't been that long. Like, he's old enough that he should have remembered what toys were.
Well, actually, I mean, how old would you pin him right now? How old do you think he is?
Well, he looks about my son's age, 9 or 10.
Oh, Dylan is 9 or 10? I guess so. So how long has it been since the zombie apocalypse started?
I think it's only been a few years. More than 4, I would say.
So I would say, so then he was 5, 6. So maybe he's like too young to understand. He was at the time maybe too young to understand it.
And if you think about it, like in terms of earliest memories, like, I mean, I can think back to kindergarten, which is like about 5 or 6. But I mean, that's about as far back as I can really go. I can't put really anything beyond that. So
yeah. Maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe stretch. Yeah. A lot of people are saying the same things. Isn't that the apocalypse was 4 years tops? You know, Nisa's on fire, by the way. Anyway, so.
Well, it's kind of like in Walking Dead too, when they were trying to get the movie projector to work. And they were like, oh, who wants to see a movie? And people kind of had to like give it a second to register because it had been so long since they had actually seen a movie or heard of a movie.
Yeah. No, and we brought that up. It's like, okay, movie nights, kids, let's do this. Like,
and kids are like,
let's bring back your humanity instead of like wrapping things in intestines. Intestines are not things to play with. Don't play with your food. Wait, no. Let's go back.
Don't play with your body parts.
Yeah, don't play. Whoa. All right, it's too young for that talk.
Different show. Oh my god, I just realized what I said.
I helped you.
And that's my last time on Squawk.
You would have just let it pass. I would have let it pass.
Right over there.
We don't let you get away with anything on this show.
I'm innocent child, like.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. So Alicia, I just wanted to put something out there. It's stupid, but have you noticed that like in car rides, nobody's wearing seatbelts, and then when they have that accident, I was like, oh my god, Luciana.
I think that seatbelt is very low on the thought process when they're in their car. It's not the first thing on their minds.
Isn't that kind of also freeing too?
Oh yeah.
In a weird way, like seatbelts. There's nobody out here.
I mean, it's probably resourceful too, because I mean, if you have to run because you're getting ambushed by like walkers, you probably don't want to be fiddling around with like, wait a second, my seatbelt's on.
Let's dedicate a whole episode to this so you and Chris can fight it out. Seatbelts, no seatbelts, stab. Yeah, see, I was thinking I was bang on about the timeline. Dwight was saying he was out for a year already. But it all depends on whether he left just after they won, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Or if he left when Morgan left. You know what I mean? That's what it's dependent on in my mind. Ugh. You know, if he left when Morgan left, like after that small amount of time, those months, then a year makes sense. But if it was before, then okay. And then that would mean also that Dwight had a head start. You know, Morgan left after him, and yet it took him that long.
We're not very clear about how long Dwight's been there either. Morgan says, "How long have you been stuck here?" And he says, "Longer than I'd like." So that's
I like that.
Right.
Well, he does mention a year though.
He did.
Oh, stuck here
in that spot. Yeah, like where he was at. He might have been in that spot for a while.
I was assuming he was speaking like, you know, stuck, like
like in a state of mind.
But isn't that interesting how wording can affect how you perceive something?
I took it literally, like, how long have you been stuck in this location?
Wow. I mean, where would he have stayed? Was he staying there? I don't, like, that's, I don't know.
I don't know. They rolled up in what he thought was Sherry's van, and when it wasn't her, started shooting at him. Kind of seemed like he was holed up there.
Yeah, maybe. What? Well, he was shooting out from the road. I don't know. You know, it's almost like a dead end. Like, you're never going to really know. Well, maybe we'll find out more in the next episode. Or not, because we're going to, I mean, obviously in the next episode, we're going to be focusing a little bit more on our group near the mill.
Unless we get a Dwight-centered episode, like to kind of show his journey from there to here.
Oh, that could be true too. Yeah, but you know, I think they've been shying away from like big recap episodes too.
True.
Like not getting a Negan thing, not finding out exactly what happened at the dam. Because, and I kind of agree with that school of thought in a way. Like, no, there's a quality in not going through and we learned that the hard way on the podcast. There's a quality in not going through every single little thing. Like, because sometimes you just want to. I mean, sometimes it's just good to skip in the end and just say, hey, we did this.
Yeah.
This is what happens. Or you find things out through story narrative. Like it make like factoids become relevant in the course of pursuing like navigating through conflict. You know, like, so when they're at the at that hotel, this is Strand, Madison, and June. And they were talking about that one story at the Lagavulin, was it bourbon whiskey factory, whatever it is. And like talking about like, oh, we had a really good day there, blah, blah, blah. And then finding out about Nick's PTSD because of the dam and being underwater and getting that one scene. Like, sometimes it's good to kind of piece things together through inference. Yeah. And like, you don't need all the details. I mean, we still want to know.
Right.
Because we're into it. But like on a story level, I guess it's not that important. I guess what's important is the struggle, you know?
True.
You know, so. Anyway.
And that they did it.
Somebody said stop small. Clout Henry, let me just say, Bob Miller doesn't know that you don't know that Dwight dies. Like, people are saying,
what?
Somebody's saying Dwight dies. Morgan too.
Oh.
Like,
what?
Don't believe everything you read, folks.
In the comics?
Well, yes, but we mentioned this last week, and I think this is important because I'm glad I'm watching this chat, by the way. Because we said this last week, and it's kind of like the way the comics have diverged from the television show is wild.
Yeah, I mean, Morgan died many, many seasons ago, so based on the comic book.
Yeah, Sophia and Carol were literally switched. I mean, I think right, like Sophia ended up dying instead of Carol.
Yeah.
And is Sophia still alive in the comic?
Yeah.
Yes.
How interesting is that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Carla, I'm reticent to say recent comic news. You know, even though everybody knows what happened, I feel like let's just not talk about that. But like, it's another. If you want to spoil yourself and find out about 192, knock yourself out.
Oh, just look up issue 192.
It's literally a hashtag, The Walking Dead 192. Anyway, so you will be spoiled if you hit that, if you plug that into the Instagrams, but or Twitter, by the way. But the thing is that okay, yes, sometimes the deaths find their way to happen, but one, it will usually happen in a little bit more meaningful way, but two, it may not even be the same person, as we found out at the Pike scene at the end of The Walking Dead season 9.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it just happens to other people. Yeah, it gets remixed, exactly.
That's basically.
You know, so maybe the narrative is the same, but like the way it happens is just a little wonky and different and timey-wimey and wibbly-wobbly.
I think the only thing so far that's actually happened exactly like the comics was Glenn. Everything else was a little bit different.
Yeah.
But even then, the fake out out with Abraham. Like that was they did try to like kind of fake us out with the Abraham death, that you kind of thought like, okay, well maybe Glenn isn't going to get killed off, because, and then it was like, nope, back to it, and it's like, no.
I think that's what made the Pike scene so like nail biting.
Yeah,
like we were thinking like, okay, are they going to do it? They're obviously not going to be literal, because like half the people that were on the list, and it was a big list, don't exist. So, but then there's the other half,
right? And we talked about this like when we recapped that episode. They definitely trolled comic book readers by throwing in certain scenes, like Rosita and Eugene having their heartfelt moment where it was like, okay, she's dead, you know, like it's like dead. Like I was watching it with like Eddie and like my sister-in-law and her husband, and I was just watching it being like, he's dead, she's dead. Like when Ezekiel had his moment with Alpha, I was like, and they walked away, I was like, he's dead.
He did.
I was like, he's dead. You know, like I was just like, in my mind, I was like convinced, but they purposely did that just to, you know, kind of throw you off, because that's what you were waiting for. You were waiting that those were going to be and
that's what you want too. Like you don't want to know what's coming.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to. Like, no. And I knew it was going to be different, because in the comic it's different. Like there was no way, they don't exist like on the show. So it was going to have to be different no matter what. So I was really curious to see like, okay, well, let's see how this goes.
I unfortunately was spoiled. So I knew who was on the Pikes, but I refused to believe it. And then the second I saw it, waterworks began. I cried for like 2 days.
Funny how that happens too, right? I mean, because you actually, to kind of give you what you're saying credence, is kind of like even though Carol, you knew that Glenn and Abraham were going to die, you got spoiled. You wanted to be spoiled.
I was so I knew what was coming, and I wanted to be sure. I was so that was probably one of the most painful episodes for me to see. And I mean, I've seen a lot of gross things on this show, but I think it was just because it was Glenn. It was just so brutal to me. Like that was just, if you want to talk about like crying for 2 days, I was like traumatized for like weeks after that episode. I was like, I can't see that episode again. I'm like, no way. I'm like, I'm not watching that again. So I understand a lot of people that were really turned off after that episode, just because it's like,
oh my God, so many.
Oh yeah, there was a ton of people that got turned off after what happened to Glenn. But
by the way,
I knew it was going to happen.
So many people left after the dumpster death or the dumpster fake out.
Yeah.
Oh, I never believed that.
But it didn't matter.
It just didn't make any sense. I was like, he can't be dead, because I was like, this is Glenn we're talking about here. We're not going to like kill him off like that. Although, I mean, yeah, could it have been real? Sure. But like when we were watching it, I was like, there's no way. Like I remember us sitting there like in silence, me and like Eddie watching it, and we were like, wait, so he's dead? I was like, no. It was like the only thing funnier than that was probably like the Rick death like episode. Like that was another one where it's sometimes there are times where I wish that there was like a third party, like just kind of like videotaping our reactions to these episodes. Because it's like for the Rick death episode, we were like watching it, and like, you know, you get to the end and he blows up the bridge, and it's like, okay, like we were sitting there and we're like silent, like just silent.
Like your jaws.
And I was like,
dropped.
So that's it? That's how he dies? And all like he just like lies down and he's like lame. And I was like, no, there's time left. I was like, I don't think that it's over there. You know, it's just, I don't think it's just done. And then obviously, you know, you get to the river scene and it's like, oh no, he's still alive and whatever. So, I mean, you know, they love to play around with that stuff on this show. They love to do that kind of stuff.
How would you have felt if like you see him in the distance too? He's not like completely in focus. Yeah. Like if you saw him like move around, but then like as let's say Jadis got closer.
Oh God!
I missed it.
Oh God, that would not.
There's a part of me that like, because we have hindsight of like knowing what happened, but like, can you imagine? Like, the fans would just lose their shit.
Oh, they would have. Yeah, they would have lost their mind.
Yeah, I want to say something right now, but I don't want to spoil 192. I know it's stupid.
I was gonna say, yeah, like when you're saying that, I'm thinking of 192. But,
yeah. Yes. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Ash is gonna kill us.
I will say this though. Kirkman is a very good storyteller.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think that that's why so many comic book readers get so like viscerally angry when things are changed from the comic. No,
that is. I'll give you that.
No,
I'll give you that.
No, it's like, because as somebody who reads the stories, they are good stories. I mean, it's very like, it just pulls you in, and when certain things happen, it really just throws you for a loop, where you're just like, holy crap, I can't believe that just happened. Like, it's really well written. So, right. But some things, just they just don't translate to screen. So I understand like why you have to make certain, changes where you have to, but yeah, I mean, he's a good storyteller.
I think more than that though, like, what I really like about Bob Kirkman is that he will like fully admit, like, as a result of working with some of the writers and the producers, it's kind of like, well, hey, I didn't think of that. Like, he'll be like, and it is something we've mentioned, him saying is that, like, dude, I love that the show kept Rick's hand. Like, right. Honestly, it's one of my biggest regrets. You know, like, yeah, like, as much as it's very cool to see how somebody who has like a disability technically, right, and Carl and yeah, but it's kind of like, well, the fact that he keeps it, first of all, allows them to play with it. Like, because do you remember as it was season 7, I think I want to say it is, where like he grabbed the machete that was in one of the walkers' heads, and we thought for sure, oh, the blood's going to be in the hand they have to chop it off, and yeah, that's going to be the Rick from the comic, and we were like, oh, that didn't happen. Yeah. That didn't happen at all. Nope. So you can play with stuff like that.
But Aaron lost his hand.
Yeah.
That's true.
And he does look a lot more like the Rick in the comic book by the time.
He looks just like him.
It does worry me a little bit, though, because I heard that one of the reasons they opted not to take Rick's hand off on the show was for CG reasons. It would just be too hard to edit that out every week, which makes total sense. So it kind of worries me that they did that with Aaron, because that tells me he's not going to be getting as much screen time.
Well, no, they figured a way around it, though.
Yeah, he's not allowed to move his hand now. It's his actual hand, and they just throw stuff on it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. That's cool. That's wicked.
True. Yeah, that's good.
Which actually,
he talked about it in some interview, how like he's like, it's really hard for him to not have to move it.
Can he move it, or is it like a
No,
thing?
He can move it. That's what Meg was saying, is that like it's literally just only stuff wrapped around his hands.
Yeah, so you pretend like you have stiff fingers. So like you have, it's like the finger. It's just he can't bend his fingers.
I'd be like, make it so that I can't, because otherwise I will. Yeah.
Like popsicle sticks under the finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
Have it look like the dude from Game of Thrones.
I was thinking dude from Into the Badlands.
Oh, yeah. And then have like cool like knives coming out of it.
Yes. Knives that shoot out.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to TWD Marquand on Instagram. I don't even know if he's listening, but like he has a prototype for like Aaron's arm. That'll never be on the show, but it would be kind of cool if it was. He has not posted it publicly. I don't think he posted it to me either, but he like hinted at it, and I'm like, oh, dude, you should send Ross Marquand this, like, at least a drawing of it, or like maybe even like a tiny 3D rendering of it, and just say, here, this is for you. Like, this is how much I love you. And yeah. Shout out. So put the pressure on TWD Marquand to release that. I want to know. Damn it. Yeah. I honestly, I think we went through everything, unless there's something I missed. Do you guys have anything?
Oh, yeah. When Dylan was all huddled up in the van, and they came, and they were all wrapped up, and Alicia opens the door and says, where's Max and Annie? I looked at my husband. I said, I'm pretty sure they're wrapped around the van. I totally thought.
Oh my God, me too.
Oh my God.
They're on the car.
Yeah. I thought that's what he was gonna say. Out there.
Yeah, actually, you know what? You're right. I did think that. I was like, oh man.
Like, what happened?
And then in the next second, we see that it's those two doing it, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
You feel so betrayed.
I did.
Yes. I just felt so bad for you, and now
I was pissed. I was just like, these little assholes.
I knew you would think that.
That was literally like,
yes,
you little shits.
I was in your corner.
We were all rooting for you.
I prayed for you. And you kids.
The power of Jesus.
I just don't know what to say. It's like I'm wasting my breath. Kids in the apocalypse.
Yeah. Moral is don't trust apocalyptic children.
No.
Yeah. I
don't trust anyone in the apocalypse.
Yeah, which it was kind of what the kids were saying to the adults, like at the time of the first episode. It's kind of like, what? Wait, hold on. You went out of your way to come here to help some asshole? Like,
you're stupid.
Who lied to you anyway? We find out later. Wait, so actually, that's something interesting. Do you think that they were kind of listening in when Logan was telling them the news about they took over the mill?
Oh,
they could have been little things we might miss. That's interesting. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah, you would think if they did hear that, though, then, I mean, they know that our group got duped. I don't know. You'd think they'd be more sympathetic, but apparently not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Like, I'm still not sold on them. Like, I think there's going to be a little bit more rubber banding and flip-flopping on how we're supposed to feel about these kids. Like, because then only because I'm sticking by my theory for now, because I don't like having my expectations subverted and then subverted again. So I'll be like, no, I'm going to still believe they're okay. This way I don't fall for it the second time. Like, these kids are assholes, fuck these kids. And then, like, the next week it'll be like, but they're protecting children. They're doing what they can to protect their children.
I'm still saying they're assholes.
They're still assholes.
They're still assholes.
Okay, let's find a middle path.
They can be assholes, but
they're assholes, but for a good reason.
Probably. That's kind of where I'm at, because if you remember in the original trailer, I mean, there's a split second of, I think it's Max and Dylan helping Luciana put back up a radio tower.
Oh yeah, right. with the tow truck. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at some point, I think they come around and
So there is that.
For a reason.
yeah, assholes for a reason, for sure. Annie gives me the chills in that last part, though. Because how many of you were thinking, I'm glad because I almost didn't bring this up, like how many of you instantly thought of like, what if Mika grew up to be older? That's what I was thinking at the time. Like, is this what's going on? Is this what's happening?
Yeah. Or Lizzie. Yeah.
Was it Lizzie? Oh, it was Lizzie, wasn't it?
Lizzie was a psycho, but Mika would have. I mean, Mika probably would have lost it too eventually. I mean,
following her sister's lead. But Mika, I guess, would be the Dylan character, right? Or even Max. Let's say tagging along.
Max.
Yeah, but that's what I thought of when I saw that. I'm like, I don't like the look in her eye.
No,
right now.
No.
Yeah. Lizzie could have been their leader.
But then again, that could just be, God.
Now I'm thinking these alternate like realities of what could have been.
Yeah.
Look at the flowers.
I think things like that. They've shown things like that before. Like, what if these people end up surviving, and here's a different character that shows what would have happened? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always something that people like to think of. They're like, how would Shane have dealt with Negan? How like those kind of like
the what ifs.
The what ifs.
Yeah.
That's a whole different series on its own, like a whole different podcast series that you guys could do with this.
Yeah. Well, hey, we brought it up.
It'd be cool.
You know what? I mean, look, I think we're kind of done, but like, I did bring this up like in a chat or something like that before, but like, there are so many people that argue that our group would be better off with Shane fighting the governor. I was thinking to myself, I think it's perfect that he's not there, because the way that they dealt with the governor, I think Shane would have killed the group the moment they hit Woodbury, I think. Like, he would have gone, these people think they're safe. Yeah. We're gonna fight people. Come on! And then I would be like, "Oh, it's over. It's over. I'm not watching this show anymore." They just got the whole group killed. I mean, there would be no show.
Yeah.
And that's what I argued. They'd be like, "No, but then Judith would have her daddies." And they're like, "No, Rick would be dead." You don't understand. Shane ain't stable.
No, not at all.
I mean,
did Shane only lose his mind because Rick came back?
Yeah, he spoiled everything.
Kinda.
He wasn't supposed to be you.
What would have happened if there was no Rick at all? Kind of like bouncing off what was just said. Like, did Shane go crazy because Rick came back? What would have happened if Rick was never there and Shane was the leader from the get-go?
I could easily say that honestly, actually, there's a scenario in which I could think that Shane would have taken over the farm and killed Herschel for it. Then I think nothing would happen to Shane. Well, no, I think he would kill everybody. I don't think he would have made it to Woodbury, but I think he would have killed everybody, including like Lori.
Shane probably would have ended up a lot like Negan, thinking he's doing the right thing.
Yes, yeah.
But
in
Negan
his mind, it's the right thing.
In his mind, yeah.
Yeah, but Negan sees people as a resource, and he was
Shane
totally
would too.
Yeah.
Well, he was happy to sacrifice Otis. I think it was Otis, right? Yeah.
Oh, Otis.
You know, and anybody else.
To try and get the medication and supplies back to Carl.
Right.
Yeah, But the lengths at which that he would do that, though, that's what's worrisome. Is like, at what point, what's the limit for him, right?
There is no limit when it comes to the love of your kid.
Yeah.
Right there.
Just saying.
And would Rick do it differently, right? Maybe.
Rick bit the neck Rick bit the neck out of that dude for Carl. Like, you will do some crazy shit when...
Right, but it's a sliding scale, though, right? Like, if you put him in an Otis situation, would he have done that? I don't think so.
No, that was cold-blooded.
I was going to say, not most people would do that.
No, that was cold-blooded. No.
Yeah. Negan wouldn't have done that. Actually, that's a good question. Would Negan have done that?
No, because Negan was in the situation with Father Gabriel and the swarm and all of that. And he didn't, like, basically... He could have sacrificed Father Gabriel in order
to save himself. He could have.
But he didn't.
Oh, are we really saying that Negan's better than Shane right now?
I've been saying it.
Oh my god.
I've been saying it. Son, we do that all day.
I am the biggest Negan apologist, so...
Yeah. Well, we just put more logs in Carol's fire for Negan. You know, that's true. I think we did a pretty good job of playing Chris Hardwick for the night. We're an hour and 37 minutes in, giving you way more than you would get on Talking Dead, except for the stars. I mean, we're all stars.
And no commercials.
Yeah. No commercials. No commercials anymore. You're welcome. Here's more money to fund this project. But you're welcome. And I'm very happy to be here with you guys. I know that, like, we haven't caught all your chats, but I'm looking at it, and it looks like you guys, you're doing a pretty good job of kind of interacting with each other. But, like, I agree with a lot of you guys, you know? Like, Shane would have taken Negan down. This is Walani. And, obviously Chris loves Shane. By the way, Meg, you're going to meet Chris at some point, and he hates children. He hopes they die.
Okay.
I mean, not as a matter of course, but on the show. Like, doesn't trust them. Fuck
Just
the kids.
in the apocalypse, not in the real life.
Right. In real life, he's probably the best dad ever. Anyway. And like Clout Henry saying Rick kind of started to become Shane in season 5. And like, yeah,
he did.
I agree with that 100%.
Yes.
100,000%.
Yep.
Yeah. I would say not quite Shane, but
no, but he definitely
up there.
I would say he would. I would say even this much, like not quite Shane, but like a darker Shane in a way.
He did some cold-blooded stuff.
I couldn't see Shane going quite the way Rick went. He went beast mode.
He went to some pretty dark.
He went feral.
When he had the murder jacket on, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
I gotta get me one of those.
No, please.
Who would I be? Anyway, guys, I think we'll call this a night in shining armor. This is making a comeback. It's two episodes in a row where I actually say that. Thanks for joining us. Let's say goodbye to everybody. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Rachel. Good night, Grover's Corners. Good night, Meg.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Well, hopefully we get you on again. And everybody, if you can spare us a moment, please save the children. Donate to Rachel's charity, St. Jude's Hospital. The link's in the description for the YouTube and Facebook feeds. And Rachel's Instagram account, CosmoMom09 on Instagram, yes. Save us. Spare us a like. Leave a comment on the live stream, not the Instagram stream. That's for free. Go to Facebook and YouTube. Leave us a comment and a like, and please, you know what? Just start playing it and just go to sleep and come back in the morning. And just turn off your computer. But if you could, when the audio podcast comes out, or like if you've listened to any of the other episodes on the audio podcast, just go back, just do us a favor and just leave us a rating and all that stuff. It really helps us to grow and do better things, to put more money into the Zoom meeting so it doesn't turn off every 40 minutes. So I really appreciate it. We also have a merch store. Check it out on the webpage. If you go to the main menu, hit merch, hit listen, hit all the buttons. Just play around with our website. It's very colorful. In the meantime, we are Squawking Dead, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye, guys.